Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In and amongst the worldwide download celebration and also coming off the back of 7-year anniversary, there's some content I still need to cover, still want to do, so that's exactly what I'm doing now, which is taking the EZA Turles into the Fighting Legend Vegeta event. I've literally done everything else I wanted to do with him, which is of course the showcase, 200% lead. At the time, of course, we only had Raditz. Now Cooler's out, he does also go on LR Cooler's 200% lead. I couldn't find another category lead for movie bosses to bring him on. And I also didn't want to use the Dokkanfest transforming Cooler. So we kind of have a mix between his 170 movie boss lead and also Cooler's 200%. Not that it's going to make too much of a difference, because I mean, as I said, these longer events, the Goku and Vegeta events, are quite outdated anyway. There's not any real challenge. But considering they still update the events with category missions, we're gonna take him into it and see how he does in a longer event. But he is getting a slightly bigger boost because of the Cooler. But that is a great 200% lead that he can now go on. Kind of wish I took him on that one. I mean, I can still do a video on that 200% lead, but it's not really that much different. I mean, his best linking partner is still going to be himself, which we do actually have with us, but they're going to be floating and we're going to try to protect him at all costs. But a lot of the times you're probably going to link him with Cooler, just because you can actually get a few of the decent attack links that Turles has. I mean, I said this before, his link set as a set isn't great, just because hardly any unit has that apart from himself, and the only decent unit in the game, apart from the LR, but again, you do have to be quite protective of the LR when you do take him into harder content. Other than that, you probably won't use it. And also doesn't go on all the same teams as this Turles, because it is Turles and the Turles squad or army, whatever it's called. The only other option you got is literally the AGL Turles, the other one that he actually links with, the Great Ape one. And of course, he's terrible, so you're not going to take him anywhere. But some individual links, they are good. But at least with Cooler, you can get stuff off. At least with the Dokkanfest transforming Cooler, you can get off Brutal Beatdown. With the LR, you can't. But you still have links like Fierce Battle, Big Bad Bosses being a huge one. Of course, with our level 10 links, we do need to get our HP down a little bit to like 80-85% HP. And also, I'm pretty sure the other one is Thirst for Conquest. So some decent attack links will be active, but I did still bring the support for, I'm pretty sure, Space Traveling Warriors with the LR Turles army, just so we can get a little bit extra and, you know, sometimes get some of those important links off that we will be lacking. But even without those type of links active, I mean, right now with Broly, sorry, if we do put him in the middle, actually no, it's the other three that we got First for Conquest for. But even with Broly, we do have Same Warrior Race active, Prepared to Battle, Fierce Battle, so he is getting, what, attack plus 30% in total? Actually, that's probably a little bit more, because Same Warrior Race is at level 10. Big Bad Boss is only at level 7, unfortunately. I mean, he still has a 337k attack stat for a unit that has ridiculous amounts of support. And the defense isn't too bad. I mean, it's not a unit you want in slot 1, but for the sake of the video, of course, I'm going to have him on main rotation. So I'm going to run him with the LR Final Form Cooler. As I said, some of his numbers are a little bit inflated compared to what I usually do in these events, which is run a full 170 lead. But as I said, I couldn't find another lead to bring with me, so I had to bring the LR Final Form Cooler. So it's a mix of a 170 lead and a 200% lead. So he's getting a little, it's in between. It's in between. But, you know, you just kind of have to make do with what we got. Then we'll do this. We'll give Frieza all of these tech orbs, and then we'll rotate the friend Cooler off so we can link him up with Turles. But in terms of how we should do here, he should be relatively comfortable. I mean, one of the major things, of course, is we're facing a superclass enemy. So we're getting that full support on everyone else. That key plus 3, attack plus 40%, defense plus 40%. You know, as I said, well, what's the great thing about Turles is he kind of has it all in a unit. You know, back in the day, you wouldn't really bring a support unit. A lot of the support units just can't squeeze into the harder content. With the EZA from Turles, you know, he has some pretty decent stats at the start of turn. You know, if we're on a full 200% lead with like LR Final Form Cooler, you know, his defense will be a bit higher. Gets the attack and defense plus 160 at the start of turn. He raises attack and defense on super. Not to mention, if you get an additional off with him, which I now actually have him rainbowed. So when we do get him level 10 links, it will be 200% lead rainbow level 10 links. So that's nice. Finally got my last copy from the Memorial Stones and Ticket Summons. But what is nice, as I was saying, is if you do get an additional, you can raise your attack and defense twice. So he puts out some pretty decent damage for a unit that has an amazing support. And his defense wouldn't be in a too bad spot either. So now we actually have like every single link active and some support. 244k defense. This is what I mean. His link set as a set isn't great. The individual links he has are fantastic. Brawl Beatdown, Big Bad Bosses, First for Conquest, Fierce Battle, Destroy the Universe. Have them all linked up, and this is how he's looking. Yes, he has some support. But yeah, and then once he super attacks, I mean, his defense is probably going to be nearing 400k. If he gets an additional off, you're talking close to 6. So, you know, for a unit that, again, is primarily here to, you know, be a support, and typically you would have as a floater so you can, you know, split that support up, share it around on both rotations. He's more than just a support unit now, but he is a very diverse unit who is great for, or is now viable for some harder content. You know, granted, some of the harder hitting stages, probably Broly. I mean, look at that, 6.4 million. Yes, he does have support. You know, take away the support, give him the links. You're still talking 5 million attack stat while having some solid defense and supporting everyone else. This is why I love Turles. He's so great, and he goes on some great categories. Terrifying Conquerors is now just juiced. Especially with, I mean, it was already going good for them as it is, especially with Ginyu, HL, Full Power Frieza. Not to mention the Strength one's getting an EZA. I don't know where you would fit him in, but he is getting an EZA regardless. So it's another good addition. But then there's also the introduction of the 200% lead of Transformation Boost, which Turles goes on. So Terrifying Conquerors as a whole just stays winning. Movie Bosses Transformation Boost 200% lead. Even the Movie Bosses category units are great. I mean, you've got LR Janemba, again, the Coolie units, some Golden Frieza units, eventually AGL LR Golden Frieza, Turles himself. I mean, Turles is surrounded by some of the top tier villains, I'm not going to lie to you. But I think we're going to put him in, I think we're going to leave him in slot 2 just so we can actually get, is it just Saiyan Warrior Race we have? No, it's also Prepared for Battle. We don't really need Prepared for Battle. So 399, literally just scraping 400k linked up with Coolers with still 235k defense. So again, this is what I mean. Turles has decent damage output, solid defense while being an amazing support, surrounded by some pretty amazing units while having a very good 200% lead with LR Final Form Cooler. And then what does he have now? Okay, he actually goes above the 437k attack stat. But let's see what he's tanking. Let's see what he's tanking before Super and also after Super right now. But he is definitely a mixed bag now. As I said before, like before his EZA. I mean, do you know what? 10, 11k without him supering yet, without him raising his attack and defense for the time, that's not bad. And how much is he taking on Super? Okay, that's a massive chunk, but again, you can kind of forgive it considering, you know, he hasn't supered yet. And then, yeah, he's tanking double digits. So if he supered that, I mean, he probably would have soaked that up for like 200k instead. Oh my god, he's out here dodging Cooler's attacks. I mean, lucky he's got loads of additionals. And none of them becoming supers. Not even a dupe. I mean, yeah, that was a big chunk to take. But I mean, considering almost on 600k health, it's okay. We're going to survive. I mean, clearly. But again, considering he didn't super attack and he's not a slot 1 unit, it's not bad. It's not bad. As I said, at least he's not going to get you killed. That is one major benefit when a unit doesn't get you killed. Annoyingly though, Frieza doesn't have his type advantage, his damage reduction right now because of how low our health is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop an 8er. We'll get the Dokkan attack off in like 3 turns, 2-3 turns. Then I'm gonna put Cooler in slot 1. Then we'll pop Cooler's active just so we can get through this a little bit quicker while Frieza doesn't have his damage reduction. One attack's nullified as well. Yeah, we should be good, especially with the extra defense as well. What's Turles on? 156k. We'll just give you these, I guess, because we can't get the 18 key off. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the better EZAs in the game. Probably one of the best, as I said, considering how good he is offensively, solid defensively, along with being such an amazing support. Obviously, you do have to be facing a super class enemy to get the extra defense plus 40%, which of course defense is incredibly valuable nowadays in Dokkan and has been for a while. So, you know, most of them, the majority of the enemies of the game are typically super, of course, until you get to the actually much harder content, which, you know, depending on the stage, depending on the team, Turles may not feature on there. You know, you may squeeze him in, try and risk it, you know, try and protect him at all costs with the items, you know. Hopefully he doesn't get caught with a super, but typically on most of the, the content that constantly gets updated, like missions for Goku and Vegeta event, Super Roadie SBR stages, a lot of them end up being super class enemies, especially with the extreme based categories you end up using. So, there is that. What links do we have active? We actually only have currently 2, because of course we're missing big bad bosses, but still having almost 300k defense without big bad bosses active is still pretty good, because don't forget again, he's going to raise his attack and defense by 30% for the turn. Again, if he gets an additional, he's kind of all set for the remainder of the turn. So there is also that to consider. Okay, that's cool. Use super attack caller with his type advantage, and probably him being fully built up by now, considering he super attacks and attacks in general like 50 times a turn. We haven't had a single transformation yet, which, I mean, our HP isn't 80% or less, but that is something you can really utilize in a longer event, especially because you can transform with him more than once. As I said, our HP hasn't really been at 80% HP or less often, but you don't have the most chance, the biggest chance to transform with Turles. Unfortunately, it's only a 30% chance. Like, I think I remember when I was doing like one of the showcases, or maybe the 200% lead, getting him to actually transform took me like 15-20 minutes, and I had to keep restarting and going back in the event to kind of show it off. We still tanking for double digits after supering, which is great. That's kind of the standard and what you want for updated EZAs and current units in like Goku and Vegeta event. But yeah, that 30% chance, even though I'm pretty sure it's been increased by what, 5%? Yeah, 5%. It would have been nice if it was a little bit more, maybe like 40 or 50% chance. I think 50 would have been ideal, but I think considering he can stack for the 3 turns he is transformed, I feel like that probably would have been a bit too strong. Considering you have literally like a coin flip chance of him transforming every time your HP is 80% or less. But it would have been nice. But in a longer event like this, making Turles somewhat stronger permanently, because again, you can stack once he is in his boost. Not only would he be dealing more damage and have a bit more defense, with the attack and defense plus 200%, but being able to stack for 3 turns, especially if you can get any additionals off. Of course, as I said, making him permanently stronger and having that 50% chance, it probably would have been a bit too busted. But as I said, the 30% chance is so low, and of course it's so RNG. The transformation condition is so RNG related, kind of heavily RNG focused, that at some points, as I said, you may not even get to witness his transformation, which is a shame. I said, because in a longer event like this, it is something you really want to utilize. As I said, permanently making Turles stronger. We'll pop this just because why not? We're about to get a Dokkan attack off as well. I am going to pop a Whis. So far, we've barely used an item. Because Caller has taken a plethora of attacks in slot 1 before he even supers. Turles, I'm fine with, especially with the Whis. He has 244k defense, 30% attack and defense on super. And then it's mainly the Turles army. Are they called Turles Squad or Turles Army? Team Turles, that's the one. Team Turles. I've been calling them the wrong thing, literally 2 names and not one of them was right. Team Turles has type disadvantage at the end. That's the only thing we're bringing them. I didn't need to bring them, but because again, you don't really get Turles' links active often, I kind of wanted to show what he can do with them while in a harder bit of content. But I say, considering Team Turles is literally like one of the only units I need to protect currently on this team, it's not too bad. We usually, when you do this, there's maybe like 2 or 3 units you kind of need to protect here and there, depending on the circumstance. Maybe one of them is a slight liability, so you want to kind of focus using your items there. So this is still kind of like a realistic scenario, but still having type disadvantage right now really does worry me. But at least Caller can just go to town with how much damage he can do. A few decent attack links currently active with Turles as well, and also the attack and defense plus 40% from Turles, and also the double support from Team Turles as well. So yeah, Caller's popping off right now. I mean, he would have popped off anyway of how much damage he would do as a collective, but he's popping off with the support as well. Yeah, he's literally got Vegeta below half health off of 1 Dokkan attack and all the additionals. See, look at that. Again, it would have been nice to be able to utilize him transforming again, because you can add the additional is huge at having some extra defense. So yeah, Turles is fine this turn. And the extra damage is definitely helpful. Big 3.1 mil crit. That's at the boost, as it's called, the transformation when he eats the fruit of the tree of might. It's a useful tool to have in a longer event, I say, because you can stack for 3 turns, and every time he goes back into it, you stack again. Any additionals, he stacks even more. You know, that's the main part that's really useful in a longer event like the Vegeta event, but unfortunately we haven't been able to utilize it because he hasn't transformed once, and he literally is on a pixel left. Surely they're not about to die, right? I think we may die. Yeah, we died. I'm not gonna lie, usually I have to beat the event, but here, I'm not gonna worry about it too much considering he was literally a pixel off. A crit, an additional in there, Vegeta would have been dead. I'm still fine with that. As I said, it was only a pixel left of HP. So yeah, we're about to do it. I mean, he's very good there. I mean, we actually probably would have beat the event and actually survived that turn if Turles actually had his transformation come off, and we would have been boosted for a turn, and we would have stacked for the 3 turns to make him a little bit stronger. That crit would have done way more damage. Unfortunately, as I said, that's the way the cookie crumbles with a 30% chance of transforming. You know, not only do you need the 8% HP or less, but that 30% chance is very low chance, and sometimes it will come off. Sometimes it will pop off like it's way higher than 30%, and then other times might not come off hardly at all. But I'll still count that. He still works really well there, and as I said, we probably would have beaten Vegeta if we did have at least one transformation and got to stack him a little bit, because that crit would have done way more damage. But he's still very good. He's very good. He's definitely one of the best EZAs in the entire game. Definitely top 10 easily. But do let me know what you think down in the comments. I'll see you next video, guys, and push!